In the following video I'm going to show you quickly how we can actually make this really easy with display grid. So we have a header that's all the way over here, we have a content area that's the greenish color, we have a side that's purple, and we have a footer down here. As you can see, we only have 4 areas now, so we need to start deleting it because we created 12 here. We're going to reuse some of this code, and we're also going to delete some of the code. So we only need 4 boxes now. So we can delete from 5 to 12. So you just contain your 4 boxes here. In your styles, you can do the same. So having box 5 to 12, you can keep them or you can delete them. We don't really need them anymore. That's up to you. If you feel they clutter up everything, delete them. If you don't, just leave them. They won't do anything. We're going to reuse some of this that we already created here, but we need to create it so it kind of looks more like this. And as you can see, there's different width, so this is kind of a lot smaller than this part. And the reason for this is I changed the columns in this one. So we're going to go up here and make changes to this. Like I showed you before, I could create one fraction, one fraction, one fraction, one fraction, and this equals that part, right? The repeat 4. We can also put things around this, so we still want to contain the 4 columns, but we can actually, like I showed you online with the CSS tricks, they had 40, 50, auto, 50, 40. So we can do something similar in even still using the repeat. So in this case, I'm going to use 50 pixels. I'm going to do repeat for 2 of the columns and still use 1 fraction, so it divides them equally among them. Of the rest of the page, and I'm going to end it with 50 pixels. We have a width of 960 pixels as a total up here. That means it's going to use 50 pixels on the farmost left one, 50 pixels on the farmost right one. That leaves us with 860 pixels left for this one right now. So it's going to divide them up. We're just going to contain this grid template row here because that's pretty as it is, and then we're going to start working on these boxes individually because we want them to do different things now. We just click save and see what happens. I actually don't know. Oops, that's the wrong one. It's going to screw everything up. So this is what it actually looks like right now. We have 50 pixels here. We have a 1 fraction and a 1 fraction of the remaining space that's available, so going from here to here, and then we have a 50 pixels again. But we want it to look a little bit more like this. So that's the next part of what we're going to do. In our box 1, we're going to type grid column start, and we are going to just quickly type grid column end. So we're going to using these specific commands to tell the system where does this box 1 start from and where does it end. And since we want it to go from here all the way to here, so 1 goes from all the way over here like we do like this. What you need to start thinking about is it doesn't use the boxes. This is not really number 1, 2, 3, 4 when we're talking about column. It uses the lines between it. So all the way to the left, all the way out here, this is actually the first line. After the red, before the yellow, is the second line. Here we have the third line. Here we have the 4th and the 5th. So the 5th line is the last in the columns. So when you think of when you're creating a standard table, you have, of course have an end and a start, and that's what you need to use as a mindset here. So we want it to start from 1 all the way over here, and we want it to end over here, which is the 5th one. So start 1, end 5th. And then we're going to actually start looking at the column. So we have 1 column, we have another column down here, and another column down here. They're not being used yet, but we're going to change that. So we want it to go from the top of it, the row, and the row down here. So we're just going to type in grid row start, and it's going to start in the first one, and we're going to do grid row end, and we're also going to type 1. That basically means it's just going to stick in that one. So try clicking save, go to your browser, refresh. Now you can see it just popped the rest down here. but there's still a space here, but that's not being used yet. That's for us to actually start doing something about. Now we actually are starting to make it look like this. Next part is we need to make the yellow part here go from all the way to where the green one actually ends. So start from 1, 2, 3, 4. It needs to end in 4. And then this one needs to start in 4 and end in 5. So we're going to do something similar in our boxes 2 here. Box 2 is sort of similar, but instead of writing all these 4 things, we can actually merge them together like you do. Instead of writing margin top, margin right, we just do margins like so. And we're going to do something similar with this. So we're just going to write grid column and do like that. And we're also going to make one called grid row. So we can actually merge them together here, and it's kind of easy how we can do this. Oops, sorry, I was hitting the wrong key. So grid column, and if we look here, we needed to see that we need the yellow one to start from 1, cover 2, 3 and 4, so all the way over here. So we're just making it start from 1, and then we do a divider sign telling it to stop in 4. Let's click save, and let's see what happens. So now it goes all the way over here. We don't really need to specify the grid rows, but it's a good idea, so we make sure that it knows this as well. So the grid row 1 is here up the top, and grid row 2 is here, grid row 3 here, grid row 4 here. So we can just do grid 2 to start, and it have to end in 3, like so. This won't change the design at all, but it's just a precaution, so we make sure that it doesn't, for some reason, flip out and move around. We're going to do the same with box 3. We kind of want it to stay here, but we just want to make sure. So we're going to copy this up here. And we need to change this, of course, because we don't want it to start in 1. We want this part to start in 4 and end in 5. And we still want this to start in grid row 2 and end in grid row 3. So let's see. That doesn't actually change anything, but we just told it to make sure you start at number 4 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and end in 5, and the row is still second line, so 1, 2, and end at 3. Now we need to do the same, of course, for the last one. It's totally the same way that we did the first. We wanted to start from 1 and end in 5, so the last one. But instead of starting from line 2, we're telling it to start from 3 and end in 4. So start here, go cover 1, 2, 3, 4 and all the way to 5, and start in the 1, 2, 3 and end in the 4th line. So refresh, and now we got this. So this is a really easy way to start structuring your design and moving them around compared to what you actually need to do. Next lesson we're going to actually see what we can use. We can actually start naming areas, so make it even easier for us to move things around.